Hey everyone, it's Phil here from Now Films. Welcome, thank you for tuning in. So, politics and filmmaking, why the two can't go together. I'm going to give a few examples here of stories that I've read and my own personal experiences. When it comes to politics, entertainment technically already has laws and guidelines to say what filmmakers can and can't do. And there's the film rating certification system. So here in the UK, it's the BBFC, the British Board of Film Classification, and there's obviously universal parental guidance 12, 15, 18. Then you've got, restricted 18s and just banned and whatnot. And those laws are there to ensure that nothing illegal or deliberately, grossly, overly offensive is seen by the consumer, by the audience. And when you have people coming along who are jumping on the political correctness wagon, saying, oh, well, you can't say this, you can't say that's too offensive, you are taking away entertainment. You are basically cancelling out the project. If you are to include political correctness in entertainment, you've already taken away the creativity, the imagination, the journey of discovery, the journey of, emotions, the roller coaster of, having a good time. You watch a film or entertainment to be entertained, to escape the reality that you're in just for a bit. It's a refreshment. And I don't think people go into a cinema these days, well, I hope they don't, with a notepad writing down everything that they find offensive, because it's quite sad, to be honest. There is that much going on in the world right now that if you are to include political correctness into films, you've just lost everything. Films are there to entertain the audience. Filmmakers, producers and studios do not go out of their way to please everyone. They will try and obviously be universal as they can, but ultimately someone out there will always be offended. Why? Because with political correctness, it comes down to an opinion of who's right and who's wrong, and there's never a correct answer. And filmmakers don't go out there knowingly trying to upset people. Well, the majority of us don't anyway. There are some filmmakers out there who are gross in that way, but I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to the generic argument here of filmmakers don't go out there to upset people or to offend people on purpose. They have a story to tell, and if your political views don't align with theirs, well, that's where the clash is. That's where the offence is made. But that doesn't make the person who is offended any more right or wrong. And people seem to forget that. And over recent days, many of you will have seen there's a lot of controversy over the Scream franchise. It's been put into political turmoil because of what's going on. I don't know the true story, the true facts of it. There's that many different stories going around as to whether the reasons given are a cover-up for something else. And I feel sorry for the franchise because really good horror franchise, came out in the 90s. Wes Craven would probably never have let half of this happen, but that's a different story. But when you have the political police coming along on their bandwagon saying you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't show this, you can't show that, as long as it's not bordering on illegal and psychologically damaging to the audiences, i.e. offensive, gross, extreme offence, radical, then as long as it's past the age certification, there's not a lot more filmmakers need to do. And I see a lot of people out there on social media frightened to actually say certain things in case they lose the audiences. There is always an audience for your work, and there is always people out there who will oppose either the whole of your work or just parts of it. Let them get on with it, because you can't please and keep everyone happy. But what you can do is keep your followers happy, keep your fan base happy. Obviously, don't upset them for the sake of it, but if they do get upset, well, smooth it over if you can. But don't walk on eggshells to the extent that your creativity has been jeopardized, your freedom of speech has been jeopardized, and you just can't do what you know you are good at, what you are passionate about, what you are committed and dedicated to. With TV and films, It's about having a laugh, escaping the moment. And a lot of people seem to just think, no, it's not anymore. Well, it is. There's that much drama going on in the world today that entertainment is the exit for it. And if we're going to start censorshiping that to the point where the police come along saying, oh, well, you can't say this, you can't say that because Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith found it offensive who live down the road. Well, that's very good for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let them be offended. Mr. and Mrs. Apple on the opposite side of the street or road or whatever found it funny. And that's where the problem is. You're not going to please everyone. So please your fan base, because they are your fans after all. And you will get people that come along heckling you. Let them get on with it. Political correctness these days has gone mad. I remember when Stephen King's It 2 came out, the remake, parents complained the posters were too scary, and some retailers pulled the poster from public display, and they were criticised for it, and they were like, oh, well, we don't upset our customers. You're not upsetting your customers, you've upset one or two people out of millions. But because these retailers feared political correctness kicking them up the backside, they pulled it. Now, that, in my opinion, was completely wrong. We, as filmmakers, I've said this in another podcast, we are not responsible for what we do or don't trigger in any individual person, because it's impossible to know what will trigger everyone. It's impossible. I remember when Steven Spielberg's E.T., that was getting re-edited, remastered and whatnot. Parents kicked off saying, well, the police, the enforcement people who do the roadblock to try and stop the boy taking off on the bike with the alien inside, they shouldn't be holding guns, they should be holding radios, and they changed it. I thought that was a big mistake because you've given to political correctness. It's a film. It's not real life. And if you're trying to put political correctness onto real life, you're basically, in a way, lying to yourselves, because everyone is different. No one has the same opinion. And if you're going to start putting political correctness on films, you might as well just not have it, because it's meant to be entertaining. What one person will find offensive, another will not. That is life. And to apply political correctness to entertainment, you might as well just watch paint dry, because it's the only thing that isn't offensive. And when people do try and pull politics into the equation, I often question it. Well, why does it matter? It's a film. As long as it's not illegal or bordering on deliberately grossly offensive and there's an age rating on it, it's passed. What's the problem? I genuinely believe that people who are politically correct are not doing it because they want to do good for the world. I think a lot of them do it to make themselves look good, that they are politically correct. But the reality is they're just control freaks, and they think that if they're offended, that must mean everyone else is offended, and it's just a load of garbage. I've had people contact me about my short horror film saying, oh, well, I found this offensive. I found that swear word offensive. Right, that's fine. Don't watch it again then. Don't listen to the film again. Just because you found it offensive, it doesn't mean I'm going to pull the plug on it, because there are people out there who enjoy the films I make. And people obviously don't like that because they don't like the control being taken away from them. It's all about control. With political correctness, it is merely the emotional mental health police in your ear. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. Well, that's what you think, because that's your opinion of your political views. But guess what? Us filmmakers, we like to be creative. We like to have a laugh with people who are on our wavelength. And that's what we will do, and we will continue to do it. To every filmmaker out there who has been heckled with political correctness, just say to people, say what you want, we're going to do it anyway, because you know what? There's enough going on in the world, and you need a bit of an escape from reality, and that is what entertainment is for. Let's not make entertainment any more dry than it already is. Thanks everyone again for tuning in. Take it easy.